one team. One dream. One fan.
30, 20, 10, touchdown Miami! One, two, three,
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? Mike here from DolphinsTalk.com with a breaking news audio. Sorry if you're watching on YouTube. I'm checking on my phone right now. The news is coming fast and furious as the Miami Dolphins have had a very busy morning as they have released 4 players from their teams: Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, James Daniels, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. And it's 12:30. Who knows? More might be on the way as the day goes on. But I figured I'd hop on here real quick with a breaking news audio. Tonight, same old Dolphin show, Josh Katzker, Aaron the Brain. They're going to have a more in-depth show tonight around 8:30. So make sure you are tuned in to the Dolphins Talk podcast network, the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel for Josh and Aaron tonight. But I want to talk about a few things here today, this afternoon, as this news is breaking fast and furious. Before we get to that, I have to get the business stuff out of the way first. I apologize. This show is brought to you by Caneswear. Everyone go to caneswear.com for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. They got stuff for the Hurricanes, the Panthers, the Dolphins, the Heat, the Marlins. Caneswear.com, caneswear.com, caneswear.com. Go to caneswear.com. Also, a shout out to everyone watching this live at the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, please be sure you are part of the I Am a Miami Dolphins Fan Facebook page. And if you're watching me live right now on YouTube, super chats are open. If you got something to get off your chest, if you're happy with these moves, if you're upset with these moves, send me a super chat. I will read it on the air before the end of the show. Super chats are always appreciated and the best way to support our channel and what we do. All right, like I said, the Dolphins released a bunch of guys today. None of them really surprising. I'd say the most surprising one is Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, and that's one of those ones where it's like, who really cares? I mean, he did nothing for Miami last year, so not a big deal there. But yeah, so the Dolphins made some big moves here, and with these 4 releases as of this time at 12:40 p.m. in the afternoon, the Miami Dolphins have cleared $66.98 million and over $56 million of 2026 cap space. So right now, as of today, just with the Hill, Chubb, James Daniels, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, they have cleared $56 million worth of salary cap space. This puts them at salary cap compliant for the start of the new league year, which they had to be on by March 11th. So they're all set there. Gives them a few bucks to play with. I don't believe any of these moves are going to be post-June 1st moves. The Chubb one might. So we got to wait and see. That would be the only one. If that's the case, then they're not going to have $20 million to spend in March with the Chubb contract. That will be in June. But I don't think any of these are going to be post-June 1st ones. I mean, James Daniels doesn't make sense. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine doesn't make sense. The Hill one doesn't make sense. So I don't think so. I think that they're going to save those. Possibly Austin Jackson. And maybe something else. I'd have to crunch the numbers, but as of right now, they don't appear to be any post-June 1st cap moves there. So hold on, I'm sorry, stuff's coming in fast and furious, folks. All right, let's get to let's start with the Hill. Let's start with the Hill one. Not a surprise that Miami cut Tyreek Hill. Hill had a $51 million cap hit this upcoming season. Coming off a major injury, he might not be ready to play at the start of the 2026 season. Not to mention, he's also Hill, which people forget, is currently under a league investigation, and he might get a lengthy suspension there for, assaulting his ex-wife. And with this move, just assuming not post-June 1st one with Hill, Miami will eat $28 million in dead money, but it opens up $22 million in salary cap space. If you want to sign someone like Malik Willis, that right there clears that cap space to make something like that happen. So, I mean, it just does. So, yeah, I mean, and the thing with Hill is, and I wrote articles about this, late last year when there was still more incidents off the field happening, and then again after the season, it just became exhausting with Tyreek Hill. And he is like the epitome, the poster boy of all the Miami Dolphins problems. Just on the field when he plays, yeah, he's great, but off the field antics, the social media behavior, it just became exhausting to the fans. It became exhausting to his teammates, and it became exhausting to the organization. I mean, the laundry list of stuff this guy's done. Forget the stuff he did in college. Forget the stuff he was accused of when he was with the Chiefs. Just with the Dolphins, where he assaulted the man at the Hullover Marine Center in 2023, where he has a lawsuit later this year in like November, I believe, with the plus size model whose leg he broke in his backyard, where he went to court for, I think, 3 paternity suits. Spoiler, he was the father of all 3. So he refused to pay child support until he was forced to by the courts. He was pulled over, put in handcuffs prior to the week 1 game versus Jacksonville because he wouldn't comply with the police. Filed for divorce with his ex-wife. Then no, he said he didn't. Then of course it comes out later he did. Said he was going to retire and become a porn star. The Atlanta Comedy Club I could go on and on. And teams will put up with that stuff when you're on the field scoring touchdowns, playing well, like he was in 2022, 2023, and even 2024. When you're hurt, you're getting older, and you do to make a lot of money, nobody going to put up with that nonsense. So Tyreek Hill was gone. It's going to be tough to replace him. It's going to be tough to replace him. I mean, as a player, when he's healthy and on the field and he's locked in, I mean, he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. I think he's one of the 5 best wide receivers ever played the game. I mean, it's Rice, Moss, and then you can make a guess who's 3, 4, and 5, but he's in that mix, in my opinion. He will put the fear of God into opponents. And he is and was that good. But for the Dolphins, entering a rebuild, all right, give me a lot of changes. And Hill, with his cap number and coming off the injury and the league investigation, easy cut. We have Phil Montgomery here with a super chat. Thank you, Phil. Ty was fun on the field. I won't miss the drama. No Dolphins fan will. The drama just became a lot. And then there's everything else with the injuries and stuff like that. So Tyreek Hill, easy cut there. Open up a lot of cap space. Not a shock. Everyone saw that coming. Bradley Chubb. Not going to say it was a surprise because I expected it, but he played so well last year. I thought there might have been a chance they'd restructure him and maybe he'd stay just because at edge rusher, no Jalen Phillips, no Matthew Judon, no Chubb. All you got is Chop Robinson, and he was terrible last year. But the Chubb one makes sense too. This was reported first by Jordan Schultz, NFL Insider. Chubb's going to turn 30 in June. His contract is about to skyrocket to crazy levels. Because when they restructured him last year, this was the plan. You restructured, and last year he only played for $1.25 million of guaranteed money. With knowing that his contract would skyrocket this year because he'd be cut and then he'd be a free agent, which is what he wanted. Sort of a prove it year last year coming off the ACL. He proved it, then he's a free agent. So this was kind of the plan. The problem with the Chubb thing is this. And I had people on social media argue this. There's no arguing it. It's true. Ian Rappaport reported it. I think even Mike McDaniel at a press conference after the trade in November, he said it too. They had offers for Chubb. They could have traded him in November, and they didn't. And it made 0 sense then, and it makes less sense now. I don't care if it's a 5th, 6th, or 7th round pick. Trade him. Their season was over at the trade deadline. There was no reason to hold on to him at the trade deadline. But they did. Why? Because you had Mike McDaniel and Champ Kelly trying to save their own jobs. Mike McDaniel was trying, even if they didn't make the playoffs, he wanted to win as many games. Like, don't fire me. And Chubb was helping him do that, as he had 8.5 sacks last year and 20 quarterback hits last season. He had a good year. And then Champ Kelly, who's trying to win over the people in power to become the GM, he needs Chubb on the field to help them win games. But don't fire me. We're going to win games. If you're going to keep Mike, keep me. So they didn't trade him. And that, comes back to hurt Miami now, as they could have had a draft pick because now you release him. And it's dumb. He had a $31.2 million cap hit this year. So they were going to cut him regardless. Again, this one could be pre or post. We don't know. If it's a pre-June 1st release, Miami will eat $23 million of dead cap, and it will open up $7.3 million in cap space. If this ends up being a post-June 1st release, Miami only eats $10 million of the dead money, but it opens up $23 million in cap space this year. But remember, he's going to be on the cap again in 2027 with dead money. So I could see them going either way with this. Honestly, I don't know. I'll say this about Chubb. Good guy, good player. That ACL injury he got at the end of 2023, not his fault. Mike McDaniel had him on the field in a blowout for some unknown reason against the Ravens, cost him a full season. And that's not Chubb's fault. He was playing hard in a blowout. I can't fault a man for that. And Chubb's a good guy. He's a good person. But he's also, again, he will be 30 in June. He's had 3 ACL injuries, 2 on one knee, 1 on the other. He's had also an ankle surgery or a foot surgery. I can't remember the exact operation. He's got a lot of wear and tear on him. But he's going to have a chance here to go to whoever, the Lions, the Ravens, the Bills probably. Those are probably going to be teams in the mix for him where he'll have a chance to win a ring. And for him, that's good. But for the Dolphins, easy move because you're rebuilding. This is a rebuild. If anyone's had any doubt, then today, President's Day, February 16, 2026, this is a total rebuild. They're blowing it up. Nobody's safe. We're going to talk about some other guys who are probably going to be gone too here shortly. So we will see what they do at the edge rusher spot. I think, 5 picks in the top 90. If they drafted 1 or 2, wouldn't be shocked there. If they drafted 1 in round 1 or pick 11, would not be shocked there. Has to be the right one, obviously. But edge rusher is a big need. It's a big, big need. Because right now you got Chop Robinson. Again, he was not good last year. That's just keeping it a buck, keeping it 100. James Daniels also released. This is another guy I'm very happy to see go. What did he play last year? 3 snaps or 4 snaps before he got hurt. And look, I know guys get hurt. It stinks. But, to miss 17, 18 games with a pectoral injury seems like a bit much. I don't know if this guy was advised not to return to a losing team or what, but can't miss something he never had. So James Daniels, they're going to eat $4.8 million in dead money with this move. It does open up a huge hole at the right guard spot. Now, here's the deal. At right guard, they could go Jonas Avainaya. He played on the right side in college, and everyone said, why do you move him to the left? Let him play on the side he knows. And you can move him to the right side. I don't know if that's going to fix everything. He still might stink, but he should be on the right side probably. So there's a chance they move him to the right side. Even if they don't, they need a starting guard. I don't think Miami's going to draft a guard in round 1 and pick 11. But, again, 5 picks in the top 90. You can use 1 on a tackle who can play guard or whatever you want to do. We'll see. We'll see there. But, yeah, they have a hole now at right guard, but can't miss somebody who literally did nothing for you last year, and he wasn't on the field. So James Daniels, easy release for the Dolphins here. He came off the Achilles injury where he missed pretty much all the year before. Now he's got a pectoral injury where he missed all this year. I don't know who the hell is going to want to sign this guy. He just never plays. So for the Dolphins, not a loss by any means. Just like with the release of Nick Westbrook at Kenny, yet with all of his 11 receptions and 89 yards, he provided no help to the Dolphins. Now, I don't know. Some of that might have been on the quarterback because he ain't very good. It might have been on the head coach who also called the plays because he ain't very good either. But Nick Westbrook and Kenny gone, Tyreek Hill gone, leaves you Waddle, Malik Washington, Taj Washington. That's your wide receiver group at this time. They're going to address this again. I don't know if it would be draft free agent. I don't know if I've seen mock drafts, especially today. I saw one from our good friend Justin Mello of the Draft Network. He's got Carnell Tate falling to pick 11 in Miami. That'd be great if it happens. I don't think he's going to fall to 11 though. I have a hard time seeing him falling outside the top 10. I don't want to see Miami take a wide receiver at pick 11, but if like Tate fell, I mean, who's going to be upset with that? Hello, you can't. But, they might be able to sign. I don't know. I think there's a Packers guy or two that might be a free agent. It won't cost a ton. I could see that happening. I could see once you get to round, 2, 3, 4, Miami, if they want, especially with 3 picks in round 3, if they want to take a wide receiver there. But again, rookie wide receivers usually take time to adapt. So if you take one this year, you might not see the results of 2027 or 2028 on the field. Wide receiver is unless you're a special player out of Ohio State or LSU who just pump wide receivers to the NFL. They sometimes take a little time. So there's that. But again, are they really losing anything with no Nick Westbrook or Kenny? I mean, 11 receptions last year, folks. Let me I believe it was 11. Let me just make sure that's right, because it's so bad. I almost think it's wrong. No, it was 11 receptions, 89 yards. Unbelievable. And the year before, when they signed him from the Titans, he caught 32, but he had 9 touchdowns. And then 2023 with the Titans, he caught 28. Like, no one expected Nick Westbrook-Ikhine to be, like Hill, but, I expected more than 11 receptions, for crying out loud. Just a huge disappointment. Him and James Daniels, just a huge, huge, huge disappointment with those guys being gone from the Dolphins. Or no, not with them being gone, with how they played last year for the Dolphins. The fact they're gone is actually a good thing that no one's going to complain about. So there's that there. So let's talk about Tua, because I know once everyone saw these rash of releases say, like, hey, maybe this is the day that, that they're also going to release Tua Tagovailoa. But there's a report here from Jordan Schultz, who's a big-time NFL insider. And Jordan Schultz says that the preference for Miami is to find a trade partner for Tua. That, look, they still might cut him at the end of the day, but a trade is their preference. Now, a trade would include, now this isn't from Jordan, this is from me. A trade would include, paying down his contract some, and so the team who is trading for him takes on less money of the contract. And a trade might also include Miami having to part with a pick to get rid of him, which I'm sure they do not want to do. But if you have a chance to trade him and get out from that and have a much smaller salary cap hit, maybe you pay down $20 million of what he's owed, or $15 million, whatever the number is. I'm just making them up. And you also throw in a 4th-round pick. And then the team trading for him is like, you know what? Yeah, we're taking on a still bad contract, but they're throwing in at least a 4th-round pick. Or maybe they got to part with one of their thirds. They have 3 of them. I don't know, to get rid of them. Now, here's what Schultz said that's very interesting. The preference is to find a trade partner for Tua, but the new regime doesn't want to drag this out too long. I mean, they're going to try and trade him maybe in the next week or 2 or 3, but they ain't going on until like mid-March or late March. This ain't going to go into April. This is probably going to be resolved. March 9th is the legal tampering period. March 11th is the start of the new league year. I'm guessing by March 11th, this is going to be resolved one way or another. They ain't keeping Tua to March 12th, okay? This is going to be resolved before March 11th, 4 p.m., the start of the new league year. So Jordan Schultz, which I've sort of predicted reading the tea leaves on recent shows, but Jordan Schultz saying, the preference is to find a trade partner for Tua, and the new regime don't want this to drag too long, nor should they. We all know it's coming. He gone. Anybody who still thinks he's staying, you living on a different planet. He gone. It's how fast they can get him to go, and is it going to be trade, or are they going to cut him? And if they cut him pre-June 1st, post-June 1st, all that good stuff. I don't know. Well, that stuff, and I'm not even worried about that stuff. Here's what today is for the Dolphins if you're a Dolphins fan. It's a good day. Because the last GM was a clown. The last head coach was a clown. And they ran this thing into the goddamn ground. And it's been a mess. And the only way to get out from this mess is not to sit on your hands, not to cry about it. It's to be bold and make bold moves. And today they made 4 bold moves. Now you could say Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, James Daniels, not so bold. The Hill and Chubb ones were bold. And it's like, why wait? The season's over. Super Bowl's last week. We're on to 2026. And we're getting ready to go to the combine. We don't need to, he says, I saw some people try and trade Chubb. No one trained for Chubb in that contract. Their moment to trade Chubb was last November when he was making no money. Let the new team then cut him and move on from him. Let the new team restructure him. And it's not Miami's job now. It's too late. They missed their window. Their window was the trade deadline last year. They fumbled it. Champ Kelly, Mike McDaniel, whoever else was in on those calls. Okay? Just rip the Band-Aid off. Get rid of these guys. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, he gave you nothing. Bye-bye, don't need you. James Daniels, you only gave us 3 snaps. You couldn't come back at all? Find that hard to believe. Goodbye, see ya. Hill, league investigation. You're always in trouble off the field. Court dates coming up this year. And, oh, by the way, you're coming off a major injury, which stinks, but bye-bye. Gone with you too, right? Gone with you too. And for Chubb, you just made too much money. Now, who's next? They ain't done. Now, they might be done for today. But they ain't, and I'm not even sure they're done for today. But who's next? I think Minkah Fitzpatrick's a logical one. Now, here's the deal. Minkah has no guaranteed money on his deal this year. So you cut him Yes, he's got some void years, so I think he's due to make $15 million. If you cut him, it opens up like $13 million. Roughly, this is all off the top of my head, folks. This is breaking news audio. I didn't have time to do a ton of research. It's something like that. So I think that's an easy cut to get cap space. And again, this is a rebuild. We're not going to be good to 2027, 2028. Mika by then is going to be older. Look, he's a very good player. Nice guy, too. And he was great last year here. He said all the right things. He played hard. He played well. He was great last year. But is he going to be part of a rebuild? Nope. See ya. Now, his contract's also tradable, though, because he has no guaranteed money. So I'm sure Miami's trying to work out a trade, possibly before they release him. So that one might not happen so quick. That one might drag out a bit. And I'm sure at the combine, John Eric Sullivan's going to be wheeling and dealing here a lot. And someone like Minka, they could agree to terms on a trade maybe closer to the combine, if not sooner. But I think worst case, if they can't trade him, I think he's probably going to be gone too. Because again, starting over, let's get younger, cheaper. So I think that's one. I pray Austin Jackson's gone. I literally pray. I'm so tired of this guy. He never plays. And look, I know football's a tough sport, and they put their bodies through hell. And who am I to sit there and knock someone who's hurt? But he is always hurt. Always. Now, he never plays. And here's the contract stuff. If they cut him pre-June 1st, they eat $13 million of dead cap, open up 1.6 of cap space. That's not much. You cut him post-June 1st, you only eat $4 million of dead cap. You open up $11 million after June 1st. Austin Jackson, to me, is a no-brainer post-June 1st cut. He never plays anyways. You can't miss a guy who's never on the field, okay? He never plays. So if you want to do Austin Jackson post-June 1st, sign me up. I don't care that you don't get the money to post-June 1st. Now, what that means in 2027 cap-wise is you have another $4.274 million of dead money, but it does save you $5.2 million in cap space 2027. So this kind of works out. I think Austin Jackson post-June 1st makes a lot of sense. Minka, I think they're going to try and trade. If not, I think he'll be cut here in the coming weeks. Waddle's contract is so weird. It's tough to move him. I know some fans do. I kind of want to keep him, but I don't know. I kind of want to keep him, but if they're going to keep him, they probably should restructure him some. Yeah, we have a question in the chat. Are you only allowed 2 post-June 1st cuts? Yes. You can only do 2. So I'm assuming none of the 4 today are post-June 1st cuts, just an assumption, although Chubb might be. If that's the case, they still got room to play with there. And I think Austin Jackson becomes a prime candidate for one of those 2. If they end up using one on Chubb, then that changes things. And what they obviously do with 2 as well is going to sort of figure out who is a post-June 1st cut and who's not. So I don't want to jump down that road too soon there, but great question, Eric. I don't know if I mentioned that. I should have mentioned that. So, you got 2 there. I think Minka. Waddle I was talking about. Sorry. I'd like to restructure him. So maybe give him a little pay bump this year, but also make the contract easier to move on from after this year, or maybe this year in November at the trade deadline. I kind of want to make that contract more team friendly more than anything. So it's not even, look, I'm not giving him a big pay bump or anything, nothing like that, because we're not in any position to do that. But if they can rearrange the money, restructure it somehow, just to make that contract easier to move, I'm for it. Because right now, I see people in the chat trade Waddle. They really can't with the way his contract is structured. You can't. So it makes the cap hit higher. Like you said, and they can't afford to make the cap hit higher on anybody. So they can't do it pre-June 1st. They can't do it post-June 1st. They can't do it via trade. I would just like to restructure the money on that deal. Maybe he gets a little bit more this year in a signing bonus or something guaranteed, just to make it easier to move on from him at some point. So that would be the only thing with Waddle. But Achan's also a big one too. I think they got to pay Achan. Here's what I think they got to do: Achan, Brewer, Jordan Brooks, extensions, and lower cap numbers this year, and maybe even that's what I think they got to do with them. You can't get rid of everybody, and those were the 3 guys who played their asses off every game last year, no matter what the score was, no matter how bad they were losing. Achan, Brooks, Brewer. I would like to give them extensions and lower their cap hit for this year. That's what I think the smart thing to do is. I think Most Dolphins fans would agree with that as well. Let me see if any news broke since I started. Then I'm going to end this. Because they were coming so fast and furious. Oh boy, let me make sure before I sign off. And again, Albert Breer just reported the Dolphins moving on from Bradley Chubb and Tyreek Hill was always going to be part of their plan this offseason to detach from the core whose time had run out and lean on drafting and developing. Here's something else from Albert Breer, trying to stockpile as many picks as possible. Yes. That's the other thing. This is going to be a draft weekend. Here's what I'm telling you for draft weekend right now. We're going to be live Thursday, Friday, and Saturday here on the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel. We're going to have guests. I already got people lined up. In the lead up to the draft, I've already got 2 or 3 draft experts, which let's just call them, lined up from various outlets. We're going to have you covered. This is going to be a big draft for the Dolphins because they don't want any of these guys who have been here, who have been part of the problem. So I think they're going to trade down. I think they're going to trade up. I think they're going to trade picks to next year. I think John Eric Sullivan is going to just go trade crazy in this draft to get the guys he wants this year, to get more guys this year, and also set himself up in 2027, the quarterback draft as well. So we're going to have you covered. That's why if you're not subscribed to Dolphins Talk YouTube channel, subscribe. If you're not subscribed to Dolphins Talk Podcast Network, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, subscribe. We're going to have you covered. But it's going to be a big draft year for the Dolphins. And a lot of this is get rid of these old guys making a lot of money who are never on the field, which is why I think Austin Jackson's going to be gone, and getting as many young kids as possible. So there's that. All right. That's all for this breaking news audio on this Monday afternoon. Again, Josh, Aaron, same old Dolphin show tonight. You'll get their takes. You'll get more in depth. If there's more news between now and then, they'll be there. The only way I'm jumping on again today is if they cut Tua. Otherwise, Josh and Aaron will have it tonight. Same old Dolphin show, 8:30. Set your alarm. Here's what you do on YouTube. Hit the alert bell. Go to the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel. Hit the alert bell. So when they go live, you're notified, and you ain't got to even think about it or nothing. Josh and Aaron tonight. Same old Dolphin show. DolphinsTalk.com. We got a bunch of new commentaries up. We're going to have more commentaries up with all this news. We got all the news on all these releases and so much more. Check that out there. Social media, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Twitter. We got you covered at Dolphins Talk. Everyone, thank you for listening to this breaking news audio. Have a great Monday. Josh and Aaron tonight. Same old Dolphin show. Check it out. And remember, when you're on the roads, driving around, no matter what the Dolphins do, we still must put an end to highway profanity.